And welcome back to the Next Level Show. It's our Friday episode. We're ready. I'm excited. I got a good episode lined up for you guys. As you can tell by the title, we're going to talk about the 4 phases you need to do to get in great shape in 2022. If you follow these phases or this map, this layout, it will guide you because before coming up with this episode, I wanted to figure out a way that we could talk to the masses because I think that regardless of whatever walk of life, let's say the majority of you guys are trying to get leaner overall and just have a more impressive look or physique by the end of the year. It doesn't have to be competition ready by any means, but you can apply this and mold this in so many ways for the average person.
Sorry to cut you off. I don't know what happened when you pressed record, but your sound changed.
How about now?
Oh,
I just had the mic. I had the mic away. I just realized that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was too far away. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
But it sounded normal before. It's so strange.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably the power of the record. So, for the people that don't know, welcome to the Next Level Show. We're here. We have a great episode lined up, talking about the 4 phases you need in order to get in the best shape of in 2020. And I think we're just saying for people that just for whatever reason it wasn't clear, we think that this before coming up with this, I try to make this where it's the most applicable to the masses. The majority of people can apply these principles and have great success. This is basically a guideline, stuff that I personally use with the majority of my clients that are looking to improve some type of cosmetic or just their overall look and getting in healthier shape, looking better, feeling better, moving better, you name it. These are kind of the principles that I use, like I said, for the majority of my clients. So I'm giving you guys some secret sauce of how I coach for free, which is what this podcast is all about, is about giving you tremendous value.
I once
go ahead, Mike.
I once read a story about, well, I don't know if it's like a story. It's like a little fun fact, I guess. But there's apparently, and I've read this on the internet, so it has to be true, right? Apparently, there's only 2 people in the world that know, like, I think it was either Coca-Cola or Pepsi, but it doesn't really matter because it's just like a fun little story. There's only 2 people in the world that know Coca-Cola's full recipe. And since there's only 2 people, they're not allowed to like ride in the same plane together or like do certain things together, because if that plane crashes, there goes the secret sauce. So in us doing this, we are now sharing this information so that we're allowed to actually ride on the same plane together again. Because
this is true, because
we weren't able
I think
to.
Yeah, me and you were trying to schedule some stuff, and then the TSA was like, you guys can't get on the on this plane, and we're like, why? It's because you guys know the secret sauce. So we just decided to kind of abandon the secret. We're going to expose the secret sauce so that we can finally live a normal, comfortable life and ride together in cars and have lunch together and so on and so forth. Because if both of us die of food poisoning in the same place, then there goes the secret sauce. And
the obesity epidemic just goes unchecked.
Just overtake. The Terminators come over. They take over. People can't run away. They're too slow, and then they get killed. We're saving humanity, essentially, is what we're saying. So don't take this episode lightly.
That's not where I thought that was going to go, but I like where it
went. Mike, fill us up with some updates, as I know it's Baby O's first birthday.
Baby O. I think that's the first time and hopefully the last time anybody ever calls him Baby O.
Baby O.
Yeah, so
you can call him. You can literally tell him that Uncle J, and then I call him Baby O.
Uncle J, Baby O. Okay, I'll tell him. Yeah, so as of our recording today, he turned 1 year old yesterday. Yesterday, and it's kind of funny to think, you don't really have, what were you doing a year ago? Really? Like most people don't know the answer to that question, but it's like, I know exactly what I was doing. I was in a hospital. He was under a blue light thing for his jaundice, and it's just really weird. And then like going through the whole experience, like all the memories come back. So it's kind of weird to have that perspective on a birthday now, because it's always just been like, oh, sweet. People give you presents, you get a bunch of messages or no messages sometimes, if nobody remembers. But now it's like from the other side of things, where it's just like a reminder of like how far he's come, how far we've come, how much we've all grown together. And of course, the day before his birthday, which was Tuesday, he took his first official step with forward momentum on purpose. He's done it a couple times where he just like sends a foot forward because he's been standing on his own for a while, and he can squat from like a down position. He can stand up on his own, and he's like put a foot forward and tried, but then like fallen on his butt. He got his first official step 2 days ago, and then apparently this morning he took 3 steps at Jen's parents' house. So shit's about to get real quick. Once he figures that out, it's, from what I hear, shit pretty much hits the fan, which it's already kind of been hitting the fan. It's not awful. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah.
But
that's awesome.
We tried to give him a cupcake for his birthday, thinking, it's birthday, you got to do like something, and he didn't want anything to do with it. And I tried to put a little bit of icing on my finger and like put it in his mouth, so he like tasted that it was sweet and tasty, and he fucking hated it. He didn't want anything to do with it, and I was like, dude, you're the weirdest baby I've ever met. And then he just went back to eating like his normal like veggie puffs or whatever was on the menu for the day.
So you're just gonna put like a ribeye with a candle on it?
He's had a couple bites of like actual meat. He's still not the best at chewing because he only has like, I don't know, like 9 or 10 teeth. But he does like the beef vegetable puree baby food mix that we get from the store. He does pretty well with that, and kind of slowly get him acclimated. I think technically for kids, you're supposed to only do like medium well or well done for a while, which makes me sad. It's like, because like bacteria and whatnot, gut bacteria and whatnot. But I think that's it for Oliver updates. I don't think he's hit any other milestones. His first word's probably going to be kitty. That's what we're speculating at this point, because he loves the cat, and we say kitty when he like sees her, and he squeals and like chases after her and wants to pet her, and by petting he's like slamming her with his fucking hand, so naturally she hates him. But I think his first word's going to be kitty. That's okay. That's the, you heard it here first.
Yep, good prediction. What do you think? What do you think he's gonna say? Dada, Papa first, or Mama, Mommy? Whatever you guys are gonna
we're
use.
Trying Mama and Dada. He is gonna surprise me if he says Dada first, because he can make the duh sound on accident, but the muh is much more natural to him. At least I don't know if that's a baby thing or if it's just specific to him, but he's probably gonna say Mama first.
Okay.
Or at least before he says Dada. But I mean, technically, if you want to get like super technical, his first word is hi, but he doesn't know that he's saying hi, because we always say hi and we like wave to him when we see him, and he'll make the noise, but whether or not he's like correlating that sound with what he actually means, or if it's just a noise that he likes to make, who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
But I feel like identifying like kitty or Dada or Mama, that's more specific, and that indicates like he's getting the gist of what's going on.
Okay,
it's cool. I love it. It's so cool, and I feel so vindicated being able to like be in the living room and see him take the first step, because I was home. I wasn't at Crunch. I was actually there, and I got to see it, and I was like, this is like all the reason I could possibly need.
Yeah. Awesome, man. That's good. That's good.
Yay.
Well, congrats. Happy birthday to baby Oliver. When are you guys having the party?
You guys moved it, like
didn't you?
Midway through February. Yeah, schedule got all fucking jacked up.
Yeah.
Thanks to us getting COVID and a bunch of other shit. And yeah, so it's like mid-February sometime. Not that it really matters to him, but yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
I guess changing gears a little bit. We were talking a little bit off air. I was giving you kind of showing you my new chessboard. For those that don't know, I bought a glass chessboard for 2 reasons. Partly because I've been the last episode I mentioned, I've been taking an interest in the game, I wanted to have a physical chessboard. I think I had one when I was really young that had checkers, backgammon, all those other games combined into the box, but I lost it at one point because I don't even know where it's at. But I never really got playing consistently, even though I always like enjoyed the concept of the game. I always knew that it was a tricky game. It was never like checkers is a little bit more straightforward. You kind of understand the rules of checkers. Most people can grasp it very quick. The good thing about like chess, I've always discussed this with people, is just that like it's like almost endless variables that can happen. It's predictable, but it's also like you never know, right? It can kind of change up a little bit. And it's a lot of fun, especially with people that actually want to play with you and can be competitive to an extent. I kind of want to put a little note on the competitive to an extent, because what happened was I bought a second chessboard. I bought two in the last month, and I've been playing consistently for about a month now. And like where I'm actually understanding what the game is about and how to win and all that. Got an app and I play occasionally when I want to just not play on a board, or I'm just home cooking or something. I'm just trying to kill some time. And at the gym, I work at a private studio. We're about 4 or 5 trainers working there right now. We have a back room. We set it up in a way where we have a coffee machine. We have a couple comfortable chairs, massage table, and just things that we can just do to like chill while we're at the gym, kill some time while we're in between sessions. Normally, I get to the point where I work and I leave, or I work and I work out and leave. So now I've been finding myself spending more time at the gym, because now one of our other trainers brought out a chessboard. I don't know if I said this on the last podcast, but he brought out a chessboard. It was sitting there for a while. Boom, boom, boom. We've been playing. Long story short, we've been playing for a while. 3 of us are playing consecutively each other. Then one of our other friends, shout out to Aaron. He wanted me to mention him on the podcast. He brings his nephew to the gym, trains him and all that, which is his nephew is like basically a prodigy. And
yeah, he is
almost on every aspect. I think it's going to be all American, I think.
Yeah,
so
he
like
is.
he didn't understand the game of chess. So obviously he's getting his ass whooped. And eventually he like took it upon himself to go look up videos, content on chess. So he started beating Aaron consecutively, right? Then he started beating our other buddy. He hasn't played me yet since he's gotten better, so I don't have a personal say. I'm pretty much like undefeated at the gym at this point. Like I've kind of figured it out, and I've figured out my friends, so I understand like how they think and how they play. So I've also been playing a lot on my own against people that are really good, and they just a lot of times beat me, and I win some games here and there. But so I've been getting the practice in of getting my ass whooped, so that I do not get my ass whooped at the gym. So the problem here relies on we it's fun to play with people that are competitive, right? The problem is that it's become toxic in the gym. It's become a toxic environment. When I say the toxic environment, Aaron is the toxic cancer cell that runs in the gym on anything he touches.
No,
and
Aaron?
So it got to the point,
I don't
because
believe
I'm
it.
like, so people to understand, I bought a bigger board because they had a pretty big 15 by 15, 14 by 14 board, pretty big size, bigger than the one I have at the house. Pieces are less cramped. For anyone that knows that understands the game, I bought a competition size, which is a 20 by 20. It's bigger. I got it yesterday. I brought it to the gym. Have an actual clock. People that understand, you've watched any tournaments, you play with a time. You don't play just unlimited, because you can spend hours, days playing this game if you really wanted to, which then becomes a little bit redundant. That's why I didn't take upon myself to learn it. I kind of enjoy kind of those rapid games. Anyways, Aaron took it upon himself to, if you're going to buy a clock, then I'm going to do the next toxic thing, he says. And he brings out a whiteboard. And and Mike, you're going to understand what this is. Instead of naming the board taps, he names it caps. So anyone that the insider joke for that between me and Mike is we used to work at a gym that used to run a sales board in the room of our main office, where we used to reflect where each trainer was in ranking at all times. So you knew which one was the quote unquote top trainer at the time based on how many taps they had total projecting for the month and so on the year. This is how you can, as a trainer, we were able to determine our pay, roughly where we're at. We had different tiers, which made it competitive, right? A little bit of competition in the gym, which is always good. The problem is that Aaron has gotten taken it so serious upon himself to do that he's put names on the boards, draw the lines, made the score, the rows. And one of our friends that literally was his board that he brought this, and he's like, I love that everyone's playing this. I love everyone that got into it. He stopped playing for a while because Aaron sucked the fun out of it. He once the names come on the board, he's like, I gotta take a break. And then so Aaron has single-handedly ruined a game that was a fun past leisure time for us and just turned it into a toxic whirlwind of tiers. He has like the 30% tier, which is technically first tier, third tier, second tier, and first tier. X amount of wins, tallies, so on and so forth. And I asked him, do you want to really put? Go ahead.
Well, was the tipping point when he lost to Kevin? I feel like that was the point.
I think so. I think so. And it's spilling over into his mother's birthday party. They were playing, and it started getting personal. I think it's destroyed relationships at this point, not between Aaron and him, but Aaron and his cousins and so on and so forth. And you know how you've seen them, so you know how all sport competitive these guys are. They play football, they're track runners, so they're always seen by winning, and it's very important to them. Our boy Vinny, he's more chill, more casual. He's more laid back, and I know where he's coming from. So I broke in the board with him today, played. It was fun. We didn't put anything on the board. We just wanted to test it out, test out the clock and all that good stuff. And it was a fun time. And I just laughed because it got to the point where Aaron finishes we finish our sessions, right? And if we're both done at the same time, we look at each other as you're going to play a quick game. It's like we spend more time in there, right? Which is cool. That's what's keeping me interested in playing, because you have physical people to play against.
Yeah.
So I bought a board that's like like you can move it around and stuff. It's like a foldable one, and it's pretty neat. I just saw it and I looked it up, and I was like, this is pretty cool. This is worth like me having for myself. I like it. I don't think I'll ever play in a tournament, nothing like that, because that's another level of dedication that I don't have the time for. And I'm getting older. I don't have the same malleable brain that like will just learn as fast as if I was like Kevin's age. He's 13 years old. The kid's learning like a sponge. He's learning this very rapidly. So he'll probably be able to beat me, like if not right now, if not if he keeps going in the future, no doubt, probably. And but it's fun. I'm pretty competitive. I don't take it too serious. I really could care less. But it's to say that it's like not fun to see the expressions. It's a good time. So that's been my toxic endeavor as of lately. It's drastically changed within the last week. The board just came out this week.
Well, I told you that I was gonna play some chess, and then I started playing Magic the Gathering, which I've never played before. It's like a card game, and my understanding of it is elementary at best, but it's fun and it's very in depth. And I played against my friend who's been playing for a really long time and has all these cards, and I'm playing on my phone, so things just happen and I don't fully understand why they're happening. And then I just lose, and I'm like, oh wow, that was cool, but I continue playing because it's fun. And it's kind of like that, where there's a lot of strategy that goes into it. So like I kind of get the same sort of thing, except it's not an even playing field, same number of pieces and all that kind of stuff. You have different cards do different things. I digress, but okay, yeah, I think that's about
well,
it.
I want to give you guys a quick fun fact before we dive into the episode. I thought this was actually interesting. Fun fact. Make a note of this, Mike. Did you know that chess is a science? If you did not know this before.
Okay.
So a lot of people look at chess in two different ways. They look at it as art, or they look at it as science. It's been confirmed that it's more of a science. It has an art element to it, of course, because you can be as creative as you want, tactical wise. But it's a science because of the thought that goes into the actual design, the thought behind the pieces, the variables of the squares. But what it also does from a like neurological level, it actually it's an exercise for the brain, because the brain has to do the steps of where they're visual. You have to start visualize if you want to be good and be effective. You start predicting pieces, movement patterns, your choices, their choices, and then there's like a piece that your brain is exercising. And it does this in other games as well, but for the sake of chess, it can help kind of combat the stuff like Alzheimer's, dementia, because you're exercising the mind, you're exercising the brain. It's a good thing. So that's another thing that I didn't know, and one of my clients pointed out. Shout out to Emilio. He like kind of just brought that to my attention, and I was like, "That's pretty freaking cool." I didn't have no idea, which is, and I think is what it does. What's been happening is I like to play video games. And Mike, I've never been able to finish Sekiro because I just haven't had time to turn on my console in like months. And my brother plays it mostly, so he hogs the console because his broke. And right, so like I'm just like, oh yeah, just yeah. So Call of Duty mainly is what he plays, but anyways, like it's a way for me to kind of like do something on like where I'm playing a game, but I can still get out of it in a short amount of time. It doesn't consume me. The game's over in a matter of minutes. So that's kind of the rhyme and reason, but I didn't know all the fun facts. So there you know. If you didn't know, if you want to play just games, it doesn't have to be this one, but just play games that like Scrabble, stuff that you have to think, puzzles, word things. And that's why you see a lot of elderly people still playing these games. And I think that's a part of it because it helps exercise. Just like your body, you need to be challenging your mind. This whole like idea that we're just mindlessly scrolling, mindlessly watching shit, that fine, you can kill some time, but if you're never ever stressing the mind out with like just rhythms, patterns, and stuff like that, there's a reason for it. So this is a little bit of incentive. I'm not trying to point you guys to playing chess, but if you do, just add me, John7 on chess.com, and just shoot me an invitation. We can play. Anyways, let's jump into it, shall we?
Let's.
All right. So to kick off this, the first phase out of the 4 phases that you need to get into the best shape of your life in 2022, we're going to be covering the first important phase. I think is probably one of the most important that will set your path of success. That way you will have a good, smooth, well, not smooth, but like a lot more of an enjoyable process, especially if you're someone that wants to change and improve your cosmetic. In this case, we're talking about mainly just shedding some body fat, building some muscle. So a lot of people skip this phase altogether. And if you listen to the show long enough, you probably hear us talk about it in many different occasions. But if you're new or you've never heard this concept or you need a refresher, do not skip the first step, no matter how advanced you think you are. So this could be for someone that's even in an advanced state that wants to skip this. I know I've been famous. I've been known. I've known for myself. I've done it where I've thought, I'm in a good place without adjusting the step. And what I find is that since I've cut multiple times in my past, more than 4 real cuts, it gets a little bit more challenging each time, because if I don't properly prepare myself and set my body up for success, it's not saying that I cannot accomplish it knowing the fundamentals of what I know. It just makes it a little bit harder when it doesn't need to be. So with that being said, first phase is a little bit of a drum roll effect. Resetting your metabolism, or a metabolic reset, however you want to word it, whatever sounds cool. Basically, it's a buzzword, and the reason I'm using the buzzword so you can kind of just draw you in a little bit. I'm being really transparent, but basically, here's what we're saying is that you can't really, because what I'm saying buzzword is that you don't reset your metabolism. It's not like a computer jack. You just like unplug it, turn it off, turn it back on. It's not like that. But the concept of it is a good one, just because it puts your mind in the right place. Like, I'm resetting my metabolism. I'm getting it in a place where I can prepare it, because a lot of times your metabolism adapts. Well, not a lot of times, all the time. It's adapting to what we're doing every minute of the day, every movement we make, every ounce, every calorie we have. Your body is consistently getting feedback and signals from what you're doing, and from the accumulation of things that you do, your body, your metabolism may slow down, may speed up, may stay the same. You may gain some fat, you may lose some muscle, you may gain some muscle, you may lose. So a lot of these things are a metabolic effects that are happening. And not to get too lost in the weeds, what we want to do to have a successful cut is make sure that our metabolism is in a good place. And there's a couple ways to figure this out if you are or not. if you notice, this is why when we've discussed how to track or how to lose fat, we've also covered getting a baseline of where you're eating right now and getting an average. This is to determine, like, based on how your weight's regulating, are you eating a lot of calories realistically, or are you eating very like moderate to lower calories? This can be a very big sign to know if, like, are you even ready to go into into an actual structured diet or calorie deficit where you're gonna be in a position where you can lose fat. Because let's say you're a Mike, let's just use an example. You're what, like 5'10, 5'9, 5'11?
5'10", yeah.
Okay. So let's say you're Mike's size. You're not a short guy, you're not small by any means, you're not like a 5-foot woman, you're that maybe weighs like 100 pounds. You're about what, like 170, 180?
160.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've
160.
lost a lot of weight.
Okay. So, Mike, you're in a position of 160 pounds or 5'10", which is actually, like, depending on who you are,
It's ideal.
Might be good. It might be good or bad,
Yeah.
right? But let's just hypothetically say you're over 200 pounds. You're 5'10".
I've been there.
So, and we're tracking your calories. We start your your phases. First phase, we're getting your information, we're collecting that, and we figure out you're eating about 14 to 1600 calories on average. That's like where your ballpark, let's say slap dab in the middle of 1500 calories, what you're eating right now on average. And your weight's about staying the same. We know by basic math that if we were to deduct calories, the golden rule is about 500 from that baseline. So that puts us at 1,000 calorie range. We know that if we want to lose about 50 pounds, or I'm sorry, like let's say even just 30 pounds, not even a whole 50 or 60 plus, want to lose 30 pounds. We know that if we put you at a deficit of 1,000 calories, you will lose weight, or you will be in a position to lose weight. The problem here is that we're already starting within, probably you're already skipping a lot of meals, you're probably missing a lot of targets, you're probably not eating enough nutrient dense foods within a 1,500 calorie diet on average. So what's happening is that, sure, you can skip to the second phase, which we'll get into it, and just kind of move past that one, the first one, but you'll probably most likely run into a wall. You might be tired of it faster. You might be irritable. You might start losing other aspects, not being able to retain good muscle mass, so on and so forth, which then for a lot of people run into a wall, and then most likely, statistically speaking, they usually throw in the towel, and then they gain the weight that they lost back. And it's just it's a never ending cycle, and you probably just did more damage to your, not damage, but you probably just kind of like reinforced that already not desired response from the metabolism even more so as you're getting older, as you're like getting more and more sedentary, whatever the case may be. So Mike, what do you think? So like what's the kind of like comes to mind when you think about the first phase? What are some things that people need to look out for and consider?
I think you pretty much covered that adequately. I don't really have anything to add, but I want to just mention this is the step that you don't want to do. You want to get into the good stuff, and I'll use this. I'll use a financial analogy because this will probably hit home a lot more. Any financial advice that you read in a book or online, you watch YouTube videos, whatever, the first step is paying off your debts. Nobody does that. They go straight to saving. They go straight to investing. They go to step 3, step 5, whatever, the exciting stuff. Paying off your debts, super boring, not sexy. You don't post about Instagram like, hey, I just paid another credit card bill. Mm-hmm. It's not the sexiest step, but this is the most important part. It sets you up for success.
I like that.
Continuing on with the financial, if you pay off your debts, you don't have monthly outgoing, you have more money that you can save, you have more money that you can invest. If you do that step first, you're setting yourself up for more success later on. This is a long-term investment on your part. It's not the short dopamine hit that you're looking for when you start on this. But then if you've listened to this show for any amount of time, you know that we're talking to you as somebody that wants to get off that carousel. So get off the fucking carousel, do step 1, set yourself up for success, because you want this to be step number 4, a lifestyle.
Yes.
I just got ahead of it, but yeah.
No, that's totally fine. I want to even say, like, it's like you can even look at it from a financial standpoint to add to maybe to the analogies. Like, it's like trying to save and invest money with a negative account. You know, you're just you're already in a shitty spot. Like how you have to pay off, get out of that negative, and that's the debt. That's like anything. Like you need to get out of that hole first that you've naturally just done through the course of your behaviors, your choices, through the many years of whatever the case may be, before you can actually progress forward. Because can you do it and find a way to weasel around it? Sure. Pull out more stuff, you know, figure out to maneuver a couple things, you know, file bankruptcy, whatever the case may be. Like you
Sell
could do
your
it, but
house.
it's not,
Fuck it.
yeah, it's not the most ideal. So so basically, to reinforce this, you want to kind of reset your metabolism, restore it, get it back to a good place. And some takeaways of how to do this, I kind of want to make sure that every point that we leave, we kind of leave you some tangible things. Ways to do this is just obviously first by start tracking and seeing what you're currently doing right now, where your weight likes to hover at based on your lifestyle currently. And a lot of people don't like to see this because it points out the ugly truth of the situation, right? And I think that a lot of people, like, once they have to make, it's easier to ignore it if you think you don't know, or you choose to not know the reality. But once you come to face with, damn, I'm either eating way too many chips every day. I'm having too many like high fast food meals a week. You know, I'm drinking so much soda, not enough water. Like you're coming to all these things that you're doing, not ideal, not good. It's a hard take for somebody, you know, that might be like in a place where like food might be a coping thing for you. For some of you guys listening, food might be a way to kind of manage your stress, your sadness, your anger, whatever the case may be, your excitement, your happy. But it's like if you can come to terms with that, you can start the process of getting yourself out. And in a lot of cases, it's not as hard or as drastic. It's just accepting certain things, being honest, being real with yourself. And a couple things is just by adding, before we start going into a deficit, taking away some calories, getting into a place where your body's using fat, we want to start adding by adding good stuff. If you're already having fast food in your day and you have it once a day or every other day, fine, keep doing what you're doing. But let's add one good meal or one good principle. Let's add some vegetables. Let's add some more protein in there. Let's start adding more water, you know, on top of the soda you're drinking. But let's hydrate you more while we're at it. We're not going to take anything away from you. We're just going to add some good stuff. The problem, I also know that people hate this step, is because this is where they feel that they don't see results. They don't see a physical change on the scale, maybe not in their clothes yet, maybe not on a couple things. Some people will start noticing maybe their energy, their mood, and like the way they feel, the way they training. It starts actually, they start noticing those things. But as far as like people that are trying to lose weight, get in shape, they might still focus on seeing like seeing some definition, seeing the weight start going down. In this phase, we do not expect that. And this is the hardest sell for a lot of trainers. This is a lot. And we know that this is most ideal for most of our clients for long-term success. This is a hard sell on yourself to even, is this even worth doing? Because like Mike says, it's not sexy, it's not exciting, it doesn't make it probably doesn't make, you know, get those dopamine hits of like, wow, this is really cool, this is easy, I'm winning, whatever, this is so fast. You have to go through that stale part. And for a lot of people, it may not be. If you don't look at it from like a weight loss perspective, then I think it eliminates the biggest roadblock that a lot of people have, and you can actually just go about your business and start this process. So that is phase one. You want to restore your metabolism. I think we covered that one pretty good.
Yes, nailed it.
All right. So if you are still following along, you're still already got in, you're knocking out phase one. And I would actually suggest like probably even saving this episode, making a note on it, sharing it with someone, making it so you can revisit it. And we have the show notes on the bottom so you can kind of skip ahead and go back to points that maybe might be more important, or where you are currently at right now. Let's say you are someone that is optimally eats a good amount of food, um, basic movement, nothing crazy. You've covered your bases, or you've gone through the proper steps to make sure that you're fed, you're eating more calories, your weight's not skyrocketing at this point, you're incorporating strength training, all these other good things. So you're ready mentally, physically. You tell yourself, all right, I'm gonna go into a fat loss phase now. Awesome. Go ahead, Mike.
Real quick, and I just wanted to say we're not adding a time frame to this, right? To the step one, the step two. These are up to you to kind of determine when you feel is best. Of course, you can ask us. this is happening, I'm doing this, whatever. I feel like I'm ready, and we'll be like yes or no.
Yeah.
It varies from person to person, where you started, where you're trying to go,
Yeah.
everything like that. It's not like do this for 21 days and then do this for 7 days and then do this for 3 days. It's not like that.
Yeah.
This is very
Yeah.
open
It would be.
to. Yeah, go ahead.
It'd be really hard to give a set time, but let's say that you are incorporating strength training, you're gradually increasing your calories, adding good stuff, your weight staying about the same. Those are kind of the main points that you want to
Yeah.
focus on. Your strength training, a pretty balanced, not hit cardio, not over intense cardio. Where I see the people that may struggle the most are the people that have attempted dieting multiple times. The people that are brand spanking new into fitness typically have a faster response. That's just what I've seen.
Yeah.
But the people that have done a lot of the yo-yo dieting for the longest time, yo-yo dieting meaning that you've like tried so many different diets that are really like trendy fashion stuff. You have rapid success, but then you kind of like obviously don't adhere to it because it gets boring, lame, hard to sustain. It doesn't feel good, whatever, and you bounce back to where you were. That's an example of yo-yo dieting. So I know as trainers, we know what the hell that means. Someone listening might be, what the fuck is that a yo-yo diet? Is it like a legit yo-yo? But that is what the yo-yo dieting concept stands for. So if this is the case for you, it may prepare yourself that some people, they last a long time in this phase for multiple reasons. But you and some other people have done so much work to their body that your body is kind of almost on the defensive here. And by doing the restoring your metabolism, getting into a better place, you're kind of easing the body from that stress, because dieting is a stress, working out is a stress. You kind of want to ease the body and prepare it and let it know, hey, you're getting adequate nutrition to supplement for this amount of exercise that we're doing, this stressor that's coming in. You're good. You're sleeping regularly. Everything's kind of balanced out. Your hormones start to function better. Uh, Skin, whatever, muscle soreness, you name it. By doing all these steps, is literally you are a healthy version. Even if you haven't lost the weight that you desire, you are fundamentally a healthier person. Now, moving on to phase 2, then we can decide that we are ready for our fat loss phase. This is the critical part here. This is where things start to get interesting and exciting for people, because this is when you can see the real results. Okay, and now establishing the deficit. We've talked about calories many times. Calories are king when it comes to this. There's no way around it. Whatever diet you decide, whatever your eating style or preference or religious views on food, it doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want. The main thing you want to focus on that you cannot overlook is that calories are the main thing you want to look at. Then in this case, I've talked about it. It's quantity over quality, because you can have the best, cleanest, freshly grown food in the whole wide world, better than the any like king, emperor, rich person, whatever. But if you're eating too many calories, you're not gonna lose the weight. So I know a lot of people get strung up and literally start boasting about, like, yeah, I picked these fucking vegetables from my backyard, and like it's like okay, like, and they're still like these, nothing's happening, because it's like, well, I'm eating these potatoes that I like, did myself, and it's like, yeah, you're eating too many of them probably still. Like, we gotta address the calories, guys. Like, this is something that people hate. They feel like it's an attack. Diet culture, I hate it. Stop. Focus on the principles here. Calories are king, quantity over quality. If you remember those principles, then you can kind of start adjusting. Not saying that the quality of your food doesn't matter, not saying that, but it's not going to be the determining factor of, losing or gaining weight here. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this is honestly, it's just basic science. I once explained to somebody, because they were wondering what a calorie even was, as if it's like a physical, like there's little gremlins that live in your food. They're called calories, and they just come in and they like make you store fat. Like, no, it's actually a measurement of energy. It's not a physical. There's no physical form to a calorie. It's certain types of physical forms contain chemical energy known as calories, like protein,
Yes.
fat, carbs. So
I like that.
what
Yep.
we're talking
That's
to
true.
you about right now is literally an energy exchange. We're saying, like, you can put technically whatever kind of calorie or whatever kind of energy source into your body as you want, but if you give yourself too much energy, your body is going to store it. If you
Mhm.
give yourself too many calories, whether it's from a sweet potato or a fucking French fry,
Mhm.
if there's too much of that, it's going to store it for later because your body
Yep.
wants to survive. That's all it gives a fuck about. It doesn't want
Yep.
a six pack. It wants to survive the winter, and winter,
Yes.
as they say, is coming.
Yes. It is coming. It's apparently here in Florida. I don't know what's going on, but
Yeah, for real, dude.
But yeah, no, I 100%, Mike. It's just a unit of measure, just like you measure a mile. It's a unit of measure. That's why people get so harped on the quality aspect, which is fine. I'm all about eating better quality
And
nutrition. There's
yeah,
benefits to it, but
there
it's
is.
almost like saying like, oh, you can't. It says like a calorie is a calorie regardless of where it's a unit of measure. Just like a mile on land is the same measurement as a mile on water. The
Yep.
the how you would use or navigate that surface or that distance is different, but it's still the same distance overall. It's the same unit of measure.
Yep. And for reference, gasoline has a calorie content. I
Mhm.
mean, can you eat gasoline? Technically, you can drink it. You die. Don't do that. Please don't. You didn't hear it here. It wasn't me that said it. You
Disclaimer:
could.
do not drink gasoline.
There's calories in gasoline because it can be measured in a calorimeter, which is how they calculate this kind of stuff, and
Mhm.
it's just a unit of measurement.
Yeah.
That's literally all it is, and we're just playing with that unit of measurement to get the desired result. It's super simple if you think of it that way. Of
Yeah.
course, it's convoluted when you start applying it, but that's why we're here to kind of simplify things to make it more achievable.
Yes, 100%. So understanding that principle, guys, is going to be the biggest thing. You want to make sure that you're putting yourself in a calorie deficit where your body is not getting enough calories to sustain its daily activity, daily movement. This could be through a form of cardio, exercise, you name it. The easiest way is to not manually burn it off, because a lot of people revert to like, let me just burn these calories off by exercising really hard, doing a lot of cardio. This is more of the less, I don't want to say wrong, but it's the less effective approach for most people, what they're trying to do. Most people don't care about just becoming skinnier. Most people want to look better. So just doing cardio alone and just burning as many calories you can manually, it's not the most effective way to go about this. Like I always say, let's say a cookie has 200 calories in it. It's much easier to not eat that one cookie that has 200 calories than it is to manually burn. I forget the even amount of time roughly it takes to burn 200 calories itself.
Bro, that's like an
It's
hour.
just, yeah. So basically, it's a lot. Yeah, it's more than you even want to do an ad. So
Yeah.
just imagine that if you're always relying on your physical capability, it's annoying versus just creating parameters, creating some structure within your day and your nutrition. This is going to allow you to adhere to a said calorie deficit of your choice on however you want to form it, how many meals you want to have. This is all going to be on preference, but the main principle for your fat loss phase you need to be is in a calorie deficit to work. This is just a basic rule across the board.
Yeah. And building muscle is one of the best tools that you have in your arsenal for that, because it increases the speed of your metabolism while, I mean, honestly, you're not burning that many calories while you're exercising in a conventional way with weights, but the benefit comes later when you're building, maintaining, repairing that muscle. And
Yeah.
you can think of it, I'll go back to finances again because I know that works. A calorie deficit is basically you making less money than you owe for the month in bills, right? I mean, that's a pretty fair assessment.
Yeah.
And then what we're doing with building muscle, as opposed to just manually burning, building muscle is making those small investments that make money for you, where your money is literally making money for you, compared to going out and working at McDonald's and manually punching the clock and manually turning over that clock to get whatever minimum wage is or whatever. So again, it's more of a long-term investment on your part, and it's definitely more exciting this way, to be completely honest with you, because lifting weights and getting stronger and doing all of those things is way more engaging than just mindlessly running or walking on a treadmill or elliptical or whatever your poison is on that one.
Yeah. So I like the case there that definitely here that would be like kind of more of a takeaway for like as far as the muscle building aspect of it. But yeah, in the fat loss phase, you really want to, I always ask a client, like, do you want to be dieting forever? And they're like, no. Do you want to do this the right way and kind of finally get to where you want to be? That way you can continue now move on to the next phase after phase 2 and kind of like start the next process that people don't always get here, and just live your life, enjoy your life, because you shouldn't live your whole life always dieting or always being on one diet to another to another to another. It's a very daunting way to live. So if you want to do this the right way or the most optimal way once and for all, the answer is typically yes. This is why they're seeing me. So then I explained to them, this is the phase that we're going to really focus on the fat loss. Phase 1, if we lose a couple pounds here or there, something changes, we're not going to celebrate it. We don't care. We're just focusing on other things. This is not our main priority at this moment, because that's not where we're dedicating our time to, or our main focus. Once we're going the fat loss phase, this is when we're going to make that push intentionally, really like on the ball. We're making that push. We're ready for it as well. The body is actually happy to work with you in this case, because you've got it out of its defensive mode. You got it out of its trust issues, essentially. And now it trusts you the process. It's going to allow you to just the body to respond to whatever endeavor you take. Increase energy expenditure, and decrease amount of calories you're consuming over the course of time until you get to said desired outcome. Now, the fat loss phase can vary from person to person. Let's say you have a big weight loss goal, which is over 50 pounds. This might take to diet this whole time way down. It might be a little bit challenging for a lot of people. So depending on who you are, scheduling maybe set breaks between that whole phase might be advantageous for you. You might actually find that it actually allows you to look forward to milestones. So it's like maybe every 5 weeks, every 6 weeks, every 8 weeks, you may have a little couple day break or a 1 week break where you kind of take a break from the diet and you keep going in these little incremental blocks. But nonetheless, you are in a fat loss phase and you're kind of working your way. This is also down to choice based on who you're working with, what your goal is, what do you want to do, what you're comfortable with mentally, physically, and everything. These are all things that we're going to take into account. So this is why hiring a coach, myself or Mike, even though Mike is not no longer a trainer, he will still, I'm assuming, if you have any questions, will help you and whatever he has up his sleeve. I'm assuming, Mike, if someone asks you to help him, you're going to help him. But
Yes.
but yeah, this is why people hire us. This is why people use that accountability, because it is a lot of information up to this point, but this is kind of the main gist of it. Now, I think so things to keep in mind in your fat loss phase, same thing with phase 1. We want to make sure we're incorporating primarily some type of resistance training. Not heavily based cardio. You can, even though you can have cardio within any phase that you want, but it shouldn't be the main driver of your program, in a main focus, if that makes sense. This is going to allow you to have the benefits, like Mike said, speed up building more muscle. It's a more expensive tissue, requires more calories to sustain it, especially if you're putting that body on that consistent stress. Your brain is registering, your body is sending the signal saying like, hey, we need to preserve this tissue at all costs because this person is lifting 400 fucking pounds and deadlifts for 20 reps, and it's really hard. So we need to make sure that we're feeding the body. So so this is like a thing. It's just little things that we want positive signals in the body that's going to make it more advantageous during this phase. Mike?
Yes. I mean, I would just say, if you're going to be doing cardio, don't think I'm losing weight while you're on the cardio equipment. Think I'm becoming healthier, building my endurance. There's so many benefits to doing it. And fat loss shouldn't be in the forefront of your brain. Yeah, you'll burn some extra calories while you're doing it. It's a side benefit. It's not the main driver. That's all that I really have to add to that one.
Awesome. So we're ready for phase number 3. This is like let's say you've gone through the fat loss phase, however long that took for you guys, whatever you felt comfortable with, you made it. You're here. You've got to set goal that you set out for yourself that you're going to do. You're finally here. Congratulations, right? This is where people drop the ball big time.
Yeah.
This is where everyone is like, yeah, we're here. Now what? So
milkshakes,
just like, celebrate, and it turned into like a year-long celebration, and like, what the fuck, like all that work for nothing. So I'm assuming if you're anyone like me, you want to work hard with a purpose. You want to get there, and you don't want to have to be in a situation where you got to do all that all over again. You just busted your ass. You lost over 50 pounds, 20 pounds, 10 pounds, 100 pounds. You worked your ass off to get here. Now let's show you how to keep it. Now, this is what we call our reverse dieting phase, or kind of like our, kind of transitioning us to the lifestyle phase. But this is mainly the reverse dieting phase, where we, just like the word implies, reverse, you're kind of getting out of the diet. You're getting out of that deficit that you created for yourself, which at this point it may have gone even deeper depending on where you're at. You are maybe doing a lot of cardio at this point. You're well, not cardio, just your activities through like just much higher than you normally are used to. So there's a way to get out of this without instantly packing on the weight back. And it can depend from person to person. Like I said, it kind of depends on your choices, your lifestyle, mentality with your relationship with food, with yourself. If you want to do this a little bit quicker and get out of there, you want to get a little bit slower because it's a little bit easier to adjust to. But basically, in a nutshell, reverse dieting is to basically get out of that deficit in the most smooth way possible that you can do for yourself, by maybe starting to decrease the amount of activity you do, by slowly bumping up your calories by increments maybe of 100 to 200 at a time, per day. And you slowly start getting out of that lower calorie state. You start eating more food, but your calorie budget starts to expand. You have more flexibility with how much food you can consume. And if you do this properly and you did everything else right leading to this point, guys, and you're keeping a good habit with training, this is why we also ask you guys not to overshoot in a lot of episodes. Like, we don't want to go balls to the wall, because we want something where you found a routine of weights that you enjoy X amount of days per week, anywhere from like 2 to 3 days, 2 to 4 days a week in the gym is typically the average for the consistent goer. Um, you want to find yourself that sweet spot where you can do this forever. This is why we always really highlight this point here, guys. So, anyways, once you start finding that rhythm, you start kind of decreasing maybe the extra stuff. Maybe you've been doing a lot of cardio every day. Maybe you start kind of damping down. You cut the cardio in half. You start kind of bumping those calories, like I said, depending on how big you are, who you are, your appetite, so on. Slowly reverse yourself out of this. Mike, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I would say, by now, depending on where you're starting from and how far you've gotten into the whole process, this could be a ways off. I mean, you're looking at, maybe for some of you, maybe 3-6 months, something like that from now, where you're actually entering this reverse diet part, depending on where you are. Some of you may be looking at more like 2 years, maybe even more. I mean, this could be a ways off. And point being, not to discourage you, but by now you're familiar with the process on what it took to get here. You're familiar with all of the pieces on the board to go with chess. I don't have a financial analogy. This is where we need Gabe, but you're familiar with all the pieces on the board, and how they can kind of move. So you're going to be so very well equipped at this point in the journey to be able to make these small little adjustments that Jonathan's talking about, where we're not doing anything super drastic. You'll have a good idea of how your body is responding to, a lot of carbs, or a little bit of carbs, or a lot of fat, or a little bit of fat, or both. And you'll have a really, really good understanding of all those processes. So this is where you actually get to use some of that knowledge, some of that experience from the journey, and make sure that you don't lose what you've got. This is also where you almost need to be the most patient, because this is where things can seriously go wrong. Because if you have been in a deficit for a while, anybody that's gone through this experience knows your body is craving food after a while, especially if it's an aggressive one. So if you go off the deep end here, you do have the potential for fucking yourself up, like a lot of people do unintentionally, just by having a year-long celebration, like you said. But so this is a very cautionary area, but also you are well equipped. You kind of have a better handle on what you're doing, and you need to be more involved in this process, in my opinion, than any other part, because there's a lot to lose here. There's a lot of hard work, a lot of good progress that you've made. You don't want that to fall through your fingers. So it's almost time to, like, buckle down, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to scare people. This is not like the deadly zone. If I said, if you follow these phases, you've kind of followed the guidelines. These are guidelines. Like I said, these are not prescriptions. These are just kind of like points of reference to have an idea. You've gotten to the place you want to be. What we're saying is that if you did this in a sustainable manner, in a way that you enjoy, that you look forward to, that you've adopted better habits, a better understanding of who you are, you're less likely to just abandon ship here.
Yeah.
You're less likely just to go on the deep end. Versus if you skip phase one, you're not in a good place. You put yourself through the ringer. You get to said goal. You're like, fuck this. My body's burnt out. I'm miserable. My hormones are out of whack. My skin, my mood, my sex drive is gone. Like my life fucking sucks. I got here on the scale. We're here, but I don't look the way I want to look. Everything hurts. My relationships are suffering. Everything's just it's a bad place, and you just abandon. People typically retaliate against that. But if you did everything right, guys, you're going to be more than okay. There's multiple ways to go about it. Either it's like we said, slower way, more drastic, or like I said, slower, or the more drastic way. There's two ways that people can go about it. So, I personally like to get out of it as fast as I can. I don't like to dwindle in the deficit personally. Like I like to get a calorie. Sorry, I could get a calorie. Get a client out of there as quickly as possible. Get them back to like a more of a normal, sustainable lifestyle living. And typically they do okay. There's maybe a little bit of water retention at the beginning, but that's normal. But that's part of the process. I think that's pretty much good for phase three. Ready for phase number quattro?
Well, and also I want to mention, this is, people having an easy time with you. They have a coach. They have somebody that's been through it, that's done it with other people. They have guidance. Doing this on your own, and I don't want to be scare tactic either. But it's just, I think it's just realistic to, if you're doing this by yourself and you don't have anybody to kind of hold you accountable or keep things in check or be like, oh, you gained this much, we need to kind of like look at what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
All by yourself, it could be a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
And a little bit more risky. So this is maybe where coaching may, come into really good play here. But yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, no, I just want to. That's good that we're kind of covering our bases here. Phase number 4, guys. This is where we desire, where we really want you guys to be able to experience, because this is the whole reason why we created a podcast to talk about these things. This is why we've worked with people to help them, because we've reached these things. We've gotten to a point that we health and fitness is going to be part of our life regardless of whatever happens, to even to the smallest degree. Some of us, Mike and I, Gabe and I, what's Mike, Gabe, and myself, we all have different, I guess, motivators, drivers, preferences with things when it comes to, but we all understand how fundamentally important movement is, exercise, health and fitness is for our well-being for the long term. So it's something that we want you guys to be able to experience as well, because this is not like a secret club, secret organization. This ain't the Illuminati. We want everyone to be a part of it. So like we want you guys to get to this lifestyle phase. Phase number 4 is the lifestyle phase. This is where you have successfully gone through the process. You worked your ass off. You learn new skills. You challenge yourself. You are now a different person. You've managed to get yourself out. Now you're transitioning to the lifestyle phase, which that means that life is now better at this point. Life is now fundamentally, from a physical standpoint, pretty much easy, if that makes sense. It's pretty simple. You have a functional body. You can basically move around and not be in critical spaces that a lot of people are chronically in pain, starting to develop these conditions later down the road, where you are maintaining a good, healthy life, which is only going to affect you on a positive, on the emotional level, on your relationships, with whatever endeavor you probably choose in life. These principles that you learn through the process of getting there to the best shape of your life is only going to bleed into everything else. This is where also the famous intuitive eating thing comes into place. This is where you've gone through the tracking, understand what a calorie is. For the people that don't know, it's a unit of measure, like you talked about. You understand what a protein is, you understand what a carb is, you understand like what these micros are, these macros, these why things work a certain way, why your body responds to certain foods the way it does. And this is where you don't have to track anymore. Possibly you can take a break, you can finally live your life, you can know, you understand what real portion control is here. You have gotten to a place where it just is. There's no fitness, my lifestyle fitness. I'm on the wagon, I'm off the wagon. There's no wagon. It just you become the vehicle.
You are the
right?
wagon.
You are the wagon here. So yeah, and like all seriousness, the guys, like all joking aside, I'm looking at my dog, making sure she's like, Qatar, what are you doing? I'm just making sure that you guys understand these things, that this is where we want you guys to be. Mike, what do you think about this? The lifestyle phase.
Yeah, I mean, you're in the driver's seat at this point. You can do whatever the hell you want. And intuitive eating, yeah, you're right. That's if there's an appropriate time to use that term, if you've gone through all of these steps, then you have effectively trained your intuition. If you have not gone through these steps, your intuition is whatever it was yesterday. It needs to be trained and honed just like anything else. You can't intuitively trade stocks if you don't know shit about stocks. You can't intuitively eat if you don't know shit about food. So
yeah,
that's about my 2 cents. I mean, like I said, you're in the driver's seat. Your hands on the steering wheel. You can do whatever the fuck you want. You can continue on what you're doing. You can decide, you know what, there's a new goal that I have set for myself, and I'm going to pursue that. You now have all the tools you need and the knowledge you need to go and chase that goal. It's 100% up to you at this point.
It's a beautiful place to be, man, because you don't think of fitness as a drag. You don't look at it like as a chore. It's just part of like your habits, your lifestyle, what you do. It's just part of what you like. Yeah, I go to the gym these days. I work out regularly, consistent about here. And you can also start shifting your energy to other things. So some people might fall in love with it, become very passionate. Like what we did is that we made a career out of it. Or you might just be a person that might be able to adopt it into who you are. It might be able to educate maybe your kids, teach your family, your friends, maybe inspire someone to make the action step. You just by you living, right? At this point, we're just living life. And I don't want to harp too much on it, but this is phase 4. This is what we strive for you to be. A lot of people struggled even just to kick off. Maybe people get stuck in phase 2. Maybe people don't even make it to phase 3. They skip phase 3 altogether and they go back to, it's just like, so if you follow these guidelines and you kind of just let yourself actually go through that whole process of transformation, guys, this is going to be valuable lessons. Things are going to happen to you that no one is going to be able to take away. And there's going to be no price on it. This is going to be the best investment that you did for yourself. And you're going to be more than happy that you did. There's going to be times that you're going to have doubt. You're going to question what the hell you're doing. You're going to question your coach, which I think are all positive and good things you should be doing. And but I like I tell you guys, I guarantee you, you're not going to regret it by no stretch of the imagination. I don't see why you would. So I don't know, Mike. I think we have anything else to cover here?
No regrets.
No regrets.
No regrets.
No regrets. Not even a single letter. Trying to think here. I think that covers everything. I think that's all the important stuff. Siri doesn't understand, apparently.
Yeah. Well, she'll just have to re-listen to the episode.
Timestamps
to find the points that she's.
Yeah. So just to remind the listeners, we do have the timestamps here. The hard points are phase 1 and phase 2. Typically, once you get to phase 3, it's a simple bit of guidance that you just need to maybe just maneuver this phase. Phase 4, like I said, it's living. This is when you decide to choose, like we talked about, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? Do you want to pursue other endeavors? Do you want to just repeat certain things? You want to improve on certain things? You want to get better? You want to compete? You want to become a coach? You want to just, start a business? You want to just do whatever the hell you want? This is the phase you're at. And you have, like Mike says, you're in the driver's seat. You're in complete control.
I forgot to mention this. There's a new Pokemon game coming out.
Okay.
Well, as of recording tomorrow. Has nothing to do with why I asked to record early, by the way. I'm actually going to lunch with a friend. Okay. But I'm super fucking pumped, and that's what I'm going to be doing with my spare time over the next couple of weeks. So the next time that we record, I'm going to talk to you about the new Pokemon, because it's a brand new format. It's not the traditional same copy paste Pokemon game, which I'm not complaining. I love that format, but this is a new take on it, and I think that it's super exciting, and I really hope that it doesn't suck, because it could. All new things can always suck. but
this is true.
We'll see. So I do have a couple of dad jokes. I'm prepared.
Let's go for it.
There's a couple. I couldn't really pick one. There's 3 short ones. So shit. And I just fucking backed out of them. Hold on just a second. So I just read that that by law you have to turn on your headlights when it's raining in Sweden. And it just like immediately occurred to me, like, how the fuck am I supposed to know if it's raining in Sweden? Yeah, it's kind of lame, but that's what you get. So 2 muffins are in an oven. Okay, 2 muffins in an oven. One muffin looks at the other and says, "Is it just me, or is it hot in here?" The other muffin turns and says, "Ah, talking muffin."
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Jesus
lame.
Christ.
That one was probably written by a 4-year-old. Okay. 2 goldfish in a tank. One goldfish turns, looks at the other one and says, "Do you have any idea how to drive this thing?" And
Jesus Christ, Mike.
That's it. Signing off.
Well, listeners, if you guys like this episode overall, minus the last segment, no, I'm just kidding. If you found it super helpful and super informative, let us know. Share this with someone that needs to kind of hear this from a different perspective. If maybe they're going about their fitness journey all wrong, or fuck it, not wrong. Just not like they're not just doing it the best way, right? And we have the secret sauce now, Mike. Thanks to this episode, we can now do things together, ride in the same car, go on travel, and go on the same planes together, and all that stuff. So, life is good, and hopefully, this secret sauce allows you guys to navigate your life and become the best version of you this year. If you have any questions, like I said, reach us out. Check us out on social media. We have our Next Level page at the Next Level Show. My personal account is at John Alpha Fitness. Gabe is at Prime and Glory, and Mr. Mike is at Mike Nillis PT. And we will catch you on the next one.